Welcome to this explainer, where we're jumping straight into what has to be one of the most intense, visceral, and frankly mind-bending stories in all of Buddhist literature. We are tracing the epic, allegorical journey of Sadaprarudita Bodhisattva and his absolute quest for ultimate wisdom. This is the path to Buddhahood through Prajnaparamita. And fair warning, this is not your standard peaceful hero's journey. It's a dramatic exploration of extreme devotion, physical sacrifice, and the fundamental nature of reality itself. So imagine you're walking through a bustling, crowded marketplace. But instead of hearing merchants haggling over spices or fabric, you hear a man desperately screaming at the top of his lungs, "Who needs a human? Who wants to buy a human?" He is literally standing there offering to sell his own flesh, his blood, and his bones to the highest bidder. It's a completely shocking, arresting scene. And it immediately makes you wonder, what could possibly drive someone to do something so extreme?
Well, he's doing this for one single reason, to attain prajnaparamita, which translates to the perfection of wisdom. It is the ultimate understanding of emptiness. See, the Buddhists from the 10 directions have just revealed to him in a deep meditative trance that this specific wisdom is the absolute source of everything. It is the very foundation of the golden, indestructible Buddha body that he so desperately seeks. But to actually get it, he needs to hear the teachings from one very specific master. That master is his designated teacher, Dharmodgata. Sadaprarudita is determined to honor him and receive these profound teachings, but he's hit a massive roadblock. He is completely destitute. I mean, he has absolutely nothing. No gold, no silver, no flowers, no incense. He has zero material wealth to offer this great teacher, leaving him with literally nothing to give except his very own life. Now, the ancient commentary here makes a really fascinating distinction between two types of poverty. Lacking material wealth, that's common. Even incredibly good, virtuous people experience that kind of financial hardship. But lacking the Dharma, lacking spiritual truth, now that is the ultimate tragic poverty. And that is the exact desperate state of spiritual bankruptcy Sadaprarudita is frantically trying to escape. Let's trace his mental state for a second. First, he gets this divine call, right? He has a glorious vision of the Buddhas. But then, poof, they vanish, leaving him burning with the question of where they actually came from. He realizes he desperately needs his teacher and makes a profound vow. He looks back and realizes that in countless past lives, he's died in vain over and over, chasing greed, lust, or just meaningless worldly stuff. Now, for the very first time, he vows to sacrifice his physical body purely for the Dharma. But of course, every great epic needs an antagonist. Enter Mara, the evil one. Mara is absolutely terrified. He knows that if Sadaprarudita attains this supreme wisdom, he won't just escape Mara's realm of illusion, he's gonna teach countless others how to break free too. So, Mara uses his dark powers to cast a massive spell. He magically silences the entire marketplace. Sadaprarudita is shouting his lungs out, but Mara ensures that absolutely no one can hear his cries to sell himself. Our hero is weeping at this point, genuinely thinking he's so cursed that he can't even give his own body away. But then, finally, someone approaches. It's a Brahmin priest, who casually mentions he needs human flesh, blood, and marrow for a sacrifice. But here's the twist. This isn't a priest at all. It's actually Shakra, a heavenly king in disguise. Which begs the question, why on earth would a heavenly king demand human blood? The crucial thing to understand here is that Shakra isn't actually bloodthirsty. He's read Sadaprarudita's mind, and he wants to see if this guy's resolve is actually real. He is testing the absolute limits of the Bodhisattva's devotion. Think of it like pure gold being tested by a blazing fire. Sadaprarudita's spiritual intention on his path to Buddhahood is being stress tested by this incredibly gruesome demand. And without even a second of hesitation, Sadaprarudita is overjoyed. He finally has a buyer. He grabs a sharp knife, pierces his left arm to draw blood, slices meat right off his right thigh, and moves to literally break his own bones to extract the marrow. The text highlights a mind-bending contrast here. There's this intense, horrific physical agony happening, completely juxtaposed with his pure, unadulterated spiritual joy. Right in the middle of this bloody scene, a wealthy merchant's daughter spots him from her balcony. She's totally horrified, but also incredibly intrigued, so she rushes down and asks him why he's mutilating himself. Sadaprarudita starts explaining the magnificent qualities of a Buddha and the sheer power of the Prajnaparamita.
Hearing this profound truth, she experiences an instant awakening. She immediately stops him, says he doesn't need to suffer like this, and completely funds his journey, bringing along 500 maidens from her retinue. And this brilliantly illustrates a profound point made by the great commentator Nagarjuna. Once Sadaprarudita's pure, unshakable intention is proven beyond a shadow of a doubt to the universe, the test is over. Shakra drops the disguise. He reveals his radiant, true heavenly form, grants the bodhisattva a wish, and miraculously heals his mutilated body on the spot, leaving not a single scar behind.
So now the whole dynamic shifts completely. We go from a blood-soaked, depressing marketplace to this joyous, triumphant procession. It's basically an ancient, magnificent VIP motorcade. This newly formed assembly, Sadaprarudita, the merchant's daughter, and the 500 maidens, load up into 500 chariots. Packed with spectacular treasures, flowers, and incense, they head east toward the awe-inspiring, seven-jeweled city of fragrances.
When they finally arrive at the city, they don't just go rushing in. They follow a very strict, humble protocol. First, they actually step down from their chariots to walk on foot, showing deep respect. They slowly approach Dharmodgatsa's towering, jeweled platform. And then, very purposefully, they take all that massive wealth they brought and divide it into two distinct piles. They divide it up to make two separate offerings. One pile is for the golden plates containing the written text of the Prajnaparamita itself. The other pile is for Dharma Odgata, the living teacher. But pay attention to the specific order here. They make absolutely sure to offer their treasures to the written text first before honoring the living, enlightened teacher sitting right in front of them. Now, why do that? Why honor an inanimate object before a living, breathing, enlightened master? The commentary gives us this incredible insight. The Dharma itself, the teaching, is the mother. It is the ultimate source that creates all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. If you don't have the teaching, you don't have a teacher. Therefore, the sacred text takes the absolute highest priority. And this priority is instantly validated by the heavens. Shakra's booming voice echoes down from the sky, confirming the Prajnaparamita is the mother of all bodhisattvas. To celebrate, he actually rains down heavenly mandala flowers and sandalwood dust directly onto the sacred text resting on its jeweled platform. Then, as our group scatters their own offerings over the teacher, these awe-inspiring miracles start happening. The flowers they throw transform in midair into flying platforms. The crushed sandalwood morphs into massive jeweled tents, and their fine garments literally weave themselves into floating canopies. Witnessing this sheer display of spiritual power, the merchant's daughter and the 500 maidens cement their own vows right then and there to ultimately attain full Buddhahood. But amidst all this incredible triumph and magic, the tone shifts back to some incredibly deep philosophical inquiry. Because despite his immense physical sacrifices, despite all the miracles, and despite finally reaching his destination, Sadapralodita is still deeply haunted. He's still carrying his original burning question. When I was in my trance, I saw the Buddhas. But when I woke up, they were gone. Where do the Buddhas actually come from? And where do they go? And boom, here we hit the ultimate philosophical twist of his entire journey. To truly grasp the path to Buddhahood through Prajnaparamita, Dharmodgata teaches him that he must fundamentally understand emptiness, or shunyata. Emptiness is the lack of inherent independent existence in all phenomena. It means nothing exists entirely on its own, completely separate from everything else, not even the Buddhas. See, Sadaprarudita had this intense, almost desperate love for the physical presence of the Buddhas. Remember, he literally cried when he woke up and couldn't see them anymore. But the commentary drops a huge realization here. That very love, that clinging to the physical form or the specific idea of a Buddha coming and going, was actually a subtle form of attachment. It was the absolute final illusion he still needed to overcome. So if we summarize this profound journey, his visceral story shows us that physical sacrifice and immense devotion, those are only the first steps on the path. The final, ultimate hurdle to true Buddhahood is actually letting go of the very forms we worship. True wisdom requires recognizing that the ultimate nature of the Buddha is emptiness itself. It doesn't come from anywhere and it doesn't go anywhere. I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to really sit with today. If the physical forms we cling to are an illusion, and all phenomena are completely empty of independent existence, where do the Buddhas truly come from?
Are they arriving from somewhere outside of us, or are they awakening from within that very emptiness? Something profound to think about as you reflect on the incredible path to Buddhahood.